In this video, we will be analyzing Americans experiencing culture shocks in Ireland. I'm an American who's been traveling the world for nearly 2 years. So not only will we be comparing the USA to Ireland, but we will also be comparing all the other countries I visited to Ireland.
This is so crazy. Like, I know, like, I bought like a week's worth of groceries and it was like $17 here.
One thing that I found in all the countries I visited in and outside of Europe is that groceries are cheaper than the USA. And that's including Switzerland. All right, I've been to Zurich, Switzerland. The groceries there, while they were categorically more expensive than every other European country, and especially every Southeast Asian country I've been to, they still were on par with what you would see at your lower end American grocery store. So to get that same quality of food that you would get in pretty much any European country, you're going to be paying an arm and a leg, and that is no exaggeration. Now, $17 for a week's worth of groceries, unless you are eating like a literal mouse, that's not really going to get you that far. Okay, obviously the video is an exaggeration, but principally it is very true that your money goes a lot further in the grocery store pretty much anywhere in Europe. In the USA, a week's worth of groceries, and this was in 2022, so it's 2025 as I'm filming this. I don't really know what the situation is like now, but I was spending something like $100 a week on just myself. Living alone in an apartment, I was spending $100 a week on groceries. That's not shopping at a place where you're getting food that's on par with the quality of food that you would find in Europe. So, I mean, again, to get that same level of quality, you're going to be paying an arm and a leg. This person right here said it even better than I could. For $17 in America, that's eggs and bread. And honestly, depending on where you live, that might not be much of an exaggeration, as crazy as it sounds. I vividly remember that back then, for a loaf of sliced bread, I was paying something like $5, maybe $6, depending on where I would get it from. And of course, the bread in the US is generally lower quality than what you'd find in Europe, just like pretty much every other food item. But $5 to $6. In the Netherlands, I want to say it was something like $2, maybe $3 at the absolute most, and that's at the high-end grocery store, the Albert Heijn. Here in Vietnam, you can get a whole loaf of pretty much fresh baked bread for something like 50 cents. It's absolutely unbelievable. But let me know how much bread costs in Ireland. As far as eggs go, I don't really know because I'm vegan, so I'm not really in tune with the price of eggs, but I do know that they are pretty expensive in the US, and I think the price of eggs has gone up since 2022 as well with inflation. Now, this person in the comments said, so you realize the American dollar is worth more in other countries? I don't know if I'm more concerned by the fact that they think the US dollar is just worth a lot more than the euro, which it's definitely not, or the fact that the comment has 16.2 thousand likes. When I was in the Netherlands, I want to say the exchange rate was almost 1-to-1, but throughout 2025, since I left the Netherlands, things have gone south in terms of the exchange rate. So rest assured that if you take your US dollars to Europe, you're literally paying even more than you otherwise would.
I'm switching it up. I am doing the 5 Irish things that I think would send an American into a coma. First up is no AC or central heating, ceiling fans. So, like, I'm not speaking for everyone. I'm sure someone out there has an air conditioning unit in their house or whatever. But I would say for the most part, gaffs here just do not need AC because it's so cold in Ireland all the time. The year that it's hot, I feel like that's when you need AC or at least ceiling fans, but they don't even have ceiling fans in most places. And to heat their homes, they use radiators. I realized I didn't even know what the fuck a radiator was until I came here, and I was like, what is this contraption? Next up is sodas. So obviously they have sodas in Ireland, but they have different kinds, and what I mean by no sodas is they wouldn't do fountain drinks really the way that we do in America. So I found this little list. Like, here would be like some of the sodas that they have. So like There's Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew, 7 Up would be really big. They don't have fucking root beer here. But they don't really do fountain drinks. So, like, if you're going to the gas station or the corner store or, like, the shop up the road, they don't have, like, big cups for you to go and fill up your drink. Or at, like, fast food spots, like, you don't go up and fill up your cup like this. Or even if you're, like, ordering DoorDash or whatever. Oh my god, I gotta sneeze. Jesus. So, when you're ordering DoorDash or ordering out or whatever, and you get to the drink section to get your food, they don't really have fountain drinks. Like, it'll be like canned Fanta or canned Coke. Just a few options. So, like, canned soda would be really popular. Next is the weather. I mean, and obviously, depending on where you're from in the US, you might have shitty weather. It's very gloomy, very wet, very windy and cold in Ireland, basically all year round, I feel like. So, I'm not sure people are used to that, like, it just being so damp and cold outside all the time. Next is white and black pudding, and you're asking yourself, what is it? Black pudding, white pudding. Some of the most delicious shit you'll ever eat in your life. I prefer white pudding, but black pudding is great too. Black pudding is made from pig's blood with, like, other stuff like oats and spices and shit. And I know you're thinking that sounds fucking disgusting, eating blood. But if you can suck some goddamn brains out of a crawfish head or eat some fucking frog legs, then you can eat pudding. It's delicious. And white pudding has no blood. It's just made with fat with, like, the same oats and spices and all. So if you're like, nah on the blood, white pudding's for you. Next is the fact that no one's gonna bag your groceries at the grocery store here. And they don't really use plastic bags. They use, like, actual totes or these, like, reusable kind of plastic bags here, which I think is great. Ban the fucking plastic. But I just think Americans would not be used to people not bagging their shit up and, like, needing to bring their own bag.
Now, I've heard about the no air conditioning thing. I experienced the no air conditioning thing myself in my 14 months in the Netherlands. And what I found was that it wasn't really that big of a deal. And I've talked a lot about this in recent videos, so I won't go too deep into this. But basically, in that particular part of the world, because of how the climate is situated, you don't really get super hot days most years. You're not getting days that are 40 plus weeks at a time, like you would back home where I'm from in Texas. Or you don't have that same level of heat and humidity that you get here in Vietnam. You just have pleasant summer days, and while it might be a little warmer than what most people would find comfortable indoors, on those kinds of days, you just go outside. Now, soda fountains. I never really thought about that. That's something in all the videos I've reacted to throughout the past however many months I've been doing this, I don't think I've ever heard anyone point that out. But that's very true, that I don't think I ever saw one of those fountains. And just a side note, when I worked at a restaurant, I need you to understand that those soda fountains usually have soda in a bag inside of the fountain. And those bags full of soda are some of the heaviest things on this planet. All right, I lift weights, I do my deadlifts and my squats and bench press, all of that. I don't want to see those soda bags ever again for the rest of my life. As far as white and black pudding on the topic of food and beverages, look, it's not my place to judge any country's cuisine because everyone has their own individual and societal palate. If you eat that, if you eat the white or black pudding, let me know in the comments what that tastes like because I'm having trouble visualizing it in my head. Pig's blood and oats, that was all I heard, and after that, I kind of just tuned the rest out because I couldn't really process that combination of things. It's kind of interesting because pudding in the US is a completely different thing. Pudding in the US would be a dessert that would have a consistency similar to jam, kind of. It's really difficult to describe. But American pudding is not a solid like Irish pudding is. This person right here said, no sodas and not the levels of diabetes as the USA. Go figure. Can't argue there. I think a lot of Americans don't understand that soda is bad for you and that you shouldn't drink a cup this big of soda, especially on a frequent basis. I remember in 4th grade, my teacher would bring a pitcher, I'm talking about a whole entire pitcher full of Mountain Dew to class almost every day. And she had the audacity. One day we were allowed to bring a drink to class, and I brought a Monster Energy, which, to be fair, I guess 9 and 10-year-olds probably shouldn't be drinking, but it was just one little can. She had the audacity to tell me that I shouldn't be drinking Monster Energy when she would bring this whole big pitcher of Mountain Dew to class.
I'm American in Ireland right now, and I'm exploring the mall. And being in an Irish mall is like being in a Black Mirror episode. I'm very confused. Things are the same, but they are different. For example, what the fuck is TK? Who is TK? Not TJ. TK. Who is TK? TJ Maxx. In Ireland, we have TK Maxx. Okay. Instead of Shake Shack, there's Shake Dog. Shake Dog. Instead of pickup sticks, it's chopsticks. It's like half of the franchises here are just like slightly different versions. Like it's just the Irish version. It's just a little rebrand. My high school boyfriend worked at Sbarro. Instead of Wetzel Pretzel, they have Annie Ann's. I'm so confused. Of course, there's Claire's, and I just zoned out while shopping and thought I needed to call my mom and thought I was in America because I feel like I'm in an American mall right now. I need to go.
So this is an interesting one because it touches on more of a niche thing, a niche difference between the USA and Ireland, or I guess Europe overall, because I did see TK Maxx in the Netherlands as well, and I was equally as shocked as she was to find that that was actually a thing. Now, I don't know what the reputation of TK Maxx is in Europe and in Ireland specifically, but I do know that the reputation of TJ Maxx back home in the US is a bit spotty. I feel like you can find some really good deals there, but generally the good deals are good deals for a reason. So let me know what the reputation of TK Maxx is like in the comments below. Now, as far as malls in general go, this is an interesting one because just yesterday, my girlfriend and I were at a mall here in the Hanoi, Vietnam area, and it was absolutely packed. I'm talking about after 10 minutes of being in that mall, our introverted brains were completely overwhelmed. And it fascinated me because in the US, mall culture is pretty much dead. People don't really go to malls anymore because they're just buying all of their stuff online. Again, convenience culture. That's not to say that people are not buying stuff online here in Vietnam or in Europe. But what I want to know is, because I never really went to the malls in Europe, is mall culture still alive in Europe? Do people still go to malls? Because again, in the US, I mean, stores are shutting down, malls are shutting down, and you just don't have that same energy that the malls used to have growing up in the early to mid 2000s. Some people still go to malls. My mom goes to the mall every Saturday religiously, but I feel like for most Americans, they're just shopping online at this point. A lot of Americans are really living in their own little microcosms these days, and it's really not a healthy way to live. Not only because of the urban planning, but also because of, again, the convenience culture. People are just staying in their little fortified castles, which generally aren't of the best build quality, and ordering their groceries, ordering whatever consumer items they're ordering, and they don't really communicate with those around them. Their kids, instead of going to the park, they just play in the backyard, or they play video games inside. Not that I didn't do that as a kid, but I also spent a lot of time at the park with other people. And again, I'm an introvert, so there's really no excuse for kids to not be doing this. But from what I can tell, this doesn't seem to be the case in Ireland or in Europe as a whole. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments.